To me, autosexuality isn't really about just being lusty and wanting to fuck yourself. Although if that's your tea, slay. It's about cultivating a felt sense of attraction to your very essence. If you grew up feeling undesirable, ugly, or invisible, you probably also know that that unwanted feeling from when you were younger sticks around and it likes to pop back up no matter how much positive reinforcement you may receive later in life. Talking about feeling grown, but maybe not sexy. Maturing into this toxic relationship with visibility where you're constantly monitoring how you're coming across and feeling simultaneously invisible and hypervisible depending on the moment creates a little voice in your head that can cause you to unconsciously police the way that you look, speak, and behave out of hopes of being seen, recognized, and desired by the people around you. The same thing that a lot of us did not get enough of during our adolescence when we saw peers going through normal formative relationships with their body and other people while we were kind of on the sidelines waiting for our queer adolescence, which often happens later in life for us. Now, I am not here to shit on wanting external validation because I actually believe that it's a pretty important way that we create and try to feel safety within our social groups, which is important. But even though options like dating apps and social media can offer a constant feedback loop of validation if you look the part enough, it still leaves us thirsty for the deeper need beneath that need. Because the need to feel desired is not just about attraction. We need to feel seen, felt, understood, and appreciated for who we are. The same way it feels when you feel yourself reflected back by a close friend or any other intimate relationship. That is what brings me to autosexuality. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what I mean by that. And you'll also get why this is much deeper and more powerful than the traditional self-love, self-care hacks that we normally talk about. Now let's lock in. To me, autosexuality isn't really about just being lusty and wanting to fuck yourself. It's about cultivating a felt sense of attraction to your very essence. It doesn't have to tie to things like your hair and nails, skin, etc. Although I do find that that type of thing is like very low-hanging fruit. Like when you look in the mirror, oh my God, I look so good. Yay, autosexual me, yes. But it's really about your ability to match your own value system when it comes to attraction. You know, that really opens it up. It can be about your personality, your style, your voice, just the way you speak. All of those things can be genuinely attractive about a person. And usually we do find those things attractive about other people, even if it's not the poster thing that we think about when we think about what makes a person sexy. It's what does it for you, about you, that matters. And if you want to get one layer deeper, what we're really talking about is the gays. These gays, they're trying to murder me. It's that, Jesus. It's that warm and loving, kind gaze that sees and appreciates all of the incredible ways that it truly feels great to be in your company, living your life in your body. In an ideal world, it's our parents or our caregivers that first make us feel that gaze. But on the off chance that we never quite got it enough during those formative years to really stand on business about this stuff now, that's when we can start to over-rely on a gaze that exists outside of us. Autosexuality is about returning that gaze to self, closing that feedback loop. We shouldn't have to wait to feel seen by others, to feel seen by ourselves, and to feel nourished by that. Because you know what's actually crazy? A lot of the time, what we're feeling when we feel undesirable isn't actually objectively that other people aren't desiring us. We may get that message, but oftentimes it's that for some reason or another, there is an absence of the permission to feel desire. It's too many stigmas, isms, biases, worthiness problems, a whole hodgepodge of things that go into the attraction that we will actually let ourselves feel and express. Openly queer people know this. especially queer femmes. But it's important to remember because it's really never the case that a person genuinely lacks any attractive qualities. Ergo, it is crucial for us to adjust our own desirability value systems to make space for ourselves if needed. Did I use ergo right? Okay, also, my hot take, autosexuality sells more than sex. I would venture to say that it is literally the single biggest and most consistent offering that pop stars have been trying to give the people since pop stars have been a thing. It's that je ne sais quoi that we're talking about when we ne sais quoi. Like, I'm absolutely not disregarding talent or marketing and any of the things that go into this, but unapologetic self-attraction to the point of eccentricity is genuinely intoxicating. When you think about it, literal million and billion-dollar careers have been built off of being able to embody this unshakable attraction to yourself that you then project outwards. Because in its highest form, autosexuality becomes about building a world for yourself around your own allure. This is where that permission to desire that we were talking about before starts to radiate outwards. Suddenly people are like, oh, you can, oh, I didn't know that I could, oh, I guess that is pretty hot, you know? Rihanna's a perfect example of this today, Beyonce, but it's always been a thing, like even thinking of like an Eartha Kitt or Marilyn Monroe, even going as far back as the lore around like Cleopatra. Because baby, the one thing that is more influential and compelling than pure talent is just how deeply you can feel that put in your soul. Now, because we're having a conversation about desirability, it would be irresponsible of me not to acknowledge how my positionality affects my thinking here. Because I am a skinny, light-skinned twink, I see that we're having conversation about who twink applies to and whether it is a racially specific term. Anyways, I am fully aware of where I fit on the desirability pyramid. May not be the top, but it's showing the bottom. And that matters in this conversation because I can express my autosexuality and be more likely than some other people to get positive reinforcement from people that I'm actually interested in. Even so, the reality of my deeper feelings comes from spending a lot of time in spaces where I wasn't generally considered to be desirable. And autosexuality is for anybody who knows what that feels like. And to be clear, I am approaching the topic of autosexuality from the perspective of a student of Black feminist thought around embodied freedom and state power. Audre Lorde's essay, The Uses of the Erotic, is where she describes this almost boundless and undeniable inner reservoir of sensual power. And once you're tapped into the erotic within you, it awakens your right to want so much more for yourself than state power would like you to. Because it's about reclaiming and indulging in a relationship with yourself that nobody else could have fuller and deeper access to than you, as much as the powers that be may try. And see, this is where it gets heated for me. In the music video for Eusexua, where there's that pivot moment where the camera zooms in and FKA Twigs leans back, and when she leans forward, her hair is completely different. It's more stylized. It's meant to reflect her true essence. And all of a sudden, the people around her who were in all this corporate dreary garb are in their underwear. Because Eusexua, the erotic, autosexuality, all of it is about getting to the core of who we are beneath the costumes. Because where we find ourselves in our bodies is where we find our freedom. Or when Janelle Monáe gave us Dirty Computer, basically the New Testament Bible on sex and pleasure, they taught us that everything is sex, except sex, which is power. When you have activated your autosexual relationship with yourself, you have activated your true power in this world. It is for that reason that I think it is so important for queer people, women, people of color, gender nonconforming folks to have an autosexual practice. Because we're taught our whole lives that our erotic fulfillment is based on the whims of other people's shame, attention, and desire to value us or not to. We all deserve to feel the erotic power that society denies us within a container we can actually control for ourselves. It gets into one of the core beliefs of my channel, which is that true healing is about liberation. Autosexuality is not just about self-love. We're not talking about investing in a feel-good self-care routine just to make your life in capitalist society suck a bit less. We're talking about a controllable and sustainable source of survival in a society that structurally wants you to feel ugly. Wake it up! Whew, okay. Taking a breath and a drink of water. I got a little spicy because I'm passionate about this stuff. I'm really just trying to hope merchant the start of your autosexual journey if you have not yet given yourself permission to go down that lane. And if you have, I hope that this video has helped to give language to either where you're coming from or where you're going. Also, did y'all feel that? Let me know. I have a lot of thoughts on the topic of autosexuality, so if that's an interest, I would love to hear from you. This has been another episode of Siah's Softline, a series of smooches from your favorite part-time homo, full-time auto, self-employed. Thanks for staying on the line. Sincerely, Siah.